writer for Entertainment Weekly. And as you can see, we have a proud tradition of honoring strong female characters and the incredible women who portray them. The last couple of years, we've paid tribute to that tradition by hosting a women kick-ass panel at Comic-Con. And it's our pleasure to return again this year with a whole new group of serious butt kickers. Let me introduce them. She is the former star of Smallville, who's returning to Comic-Con to promote her new CW drama, Beauty and the Beast. Not hard to figure out which part she will portray, the gorgeous Kristin Krouk. She's an award-winning screenwriter and co-star of the brutal but brilliant family drama 13, but you probably know her much, much better as the rather angry Rosalie in the Twilight saga. Ladies and gentlemen, Nikki Reed. She went from playing Dr. Tancredi on Prison Break to ditching zombies on AMC's hit drama The Walking Dead. Sarah Wayne Callies. Excuse me. Prepare your goodbyes, folks. This will be the last time we will see Olivia Dunham at Comic-Con before Fringe sunsets this year on Fox. Show her how much we're going to miss her and a Torv.
Can't like. What are the things? Wait a minute, she's not there.
Okay, I never thought I'd be saying this, but who knew such a gorgeous woman would look absolutely fabulous in a pair of sweats from Walmart? I assume you True Blood fans know what the heck I'm talking about. Say hello to Kristin, Bauer, but we weren't able to get this six-ass kicker into the programming notes, but I'm sure you won't mind her participation. You may have caught her on Spartacus, but she will always, always be Xena to us all. Lucy Lawless! The panel and ask each one of you to talk about the most badass thing that you did this year. It could be anything, like something that happened to you or something badass that you did. Lucy, let's start with you. What's the badass thing that you've done? I don't know.
I got arrested after spending 4 days occupying an oil rig that was headed up to the Arctic, and very proud of that. Getting sentenced in September, so we'll see how badass the big house is.
Now let me just clear this up. So you pled guilty to save the environment, so that's where things stand.
I am guilty of trying to save the environment.
And we find out when what happens to you.
In September 14 is sentencing, so bring it on, I say. I'll break you out if you go away.
Kristin, what about you? You talked about something badass that you did this last year.
I can't follow that.
I put like to say, come on.
Right? I mean, okay, last week. I drank the milk the day after. I don't actually drink milk, but I thought committing to that Walmart sweatsuit was pretty intimidating.
And how about you?
Gosh, I'm not badass or funny. I don't know. What did I do? I've been in Hawaii for a holiday and I've been surfing and I got stabbed. That's gross. They have slugs there. I'm Australian. I'm not scared of spiders.
Sarah?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm
raising a 4-year-old. That feels like a...
That's pretty bad.
It's her birthday in a week,
Really
and we
bad.
bought her a bow and arrow. And that would get like a real one. So I don't know if I'm a badass, but I'm raising one.
You're
Pretty committed to raising a badass little girl.
Nikki, what about you?
God, it's really hard being fifth right now.
Unless you're 6.
Yeah, it could be sixth. Sorry, it's okay. I bought a house. That's not the badass part of this. I bought a house and I realized how much I hated construction workers. So I tried to do it myself. There's obviously nothing badass about that. Except what happens to your pantry when you try to drill shit into it and it falls apart when you put a can of soup on it. That's all I got for you.
Alright, so I'm last.
Yeah.
Badass. Okay, well, I'm trying to think of this year. This year, I don't know, I partially moved to LA. I don't know if that's badass, but it was really difficult for me. But I think my most badass, I recently traveled to Syria, and this is not super badass, but we were out and we were in like one of the desert camps, and we were near the Iraqi border, peeing outside with lots of men around. No, that would be badass. They have those funnels though.
The shiwi or the go-go.
Shiwi, I didn't know it was called that.
Oh, I became so acquainted with them. The oil rig.
You use them. That's fantastic.
Yeah, they're tricky. You've got to... Yeah.
Alright, so to demonstrate? I was just I thought I was missing the demonstration.
You did. It was earlier. We were doing it backstage. Yeah.
By the way, Nikki only thought this was a panel for 200 people. Could you let her know how many of you are here right now? 5,012. All right, something serious now. Okay, when Josh Whedon tried in vain to write a Wonder Woman movie, he said in 2010 that it failed because, quote, she's a girl. Hollywood is still twitchy about that. Do you think moods are changing thanks to the success of Dragon with Tattoo with the Hunger Games? How about you, Kristin?
You know, it's so hard to say because you kind of need to compare it to what it feels like being a guy or, you know, what it felt like before, because my experience is so limited to my experience. So from my experience playing Pam, I'm like, oh, it's totally different. We're in a whole new world, you know, because I'm on this show where they, you know, make women really tough and badass. And I spent the first part of my career with nobody believing that I could be smart or tough, haha. And so it feels to me as if it is changing, but I also feel like it's really important for us to, if we can, create our own projects and do as much as we can to be proactive in that area, what we want to see, to try in our own way to create that.
Lucy, what do you think?
Yes, I do agree with that actually. You've got to be a bit of a warrior for your own career, and funny you should mention that because somebody came to me to say, do you want to develop this series of books with me? And it's a real producer, and I thought maybe it's time I stepped up and started to produce my own stuff. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think
Sarah, did you want to make a point about that?
Well, I mean, I think it's difficult for women in this business. I think we're often taught that we are competition for one another, and that we ought to not be friends, and that we ought to be thinner, younger, and prettier. And the people who have been the greatest mentors to me, actually, I mean, the very first series I did was with Lucy.
And she made a huge impression on me, and showing up on set and sticking her hand out and saying, "I'm Lucy," and that was it. We were friends, and she was a supporter and a champion. And I think the way forward with women is with women. Yeah, I think that's how we do it.
Anna, you want to jump in?
Well, I mean, on that, I think that you're only ever as good as the people that you're working with, and so therefore you should be supportive of everyone, men and women too. But yeah, I don't know. I think that I haven't. As I said, I can't talk from my experience, and I've really only worked in Australia, and we shoot in Canada, and I don't know. There's always been a kind of solidarity. I think I have been lucky to have escaped that kind of competitive nature. I haven't never experienced any of that stuff, which I'm relieved about. But are things changing? I don't know. Yeah, I think they always change. But then again, I'm a woman, and so I remember clearly, people are like, oh, there's so many more female leads. I'm like, well, that was all that stood out in my head when I was growing up anyway, because you're constantly, looking for role models. So, I just still see it. Yeah.
Kristin, Nikki, what is your point of view on this?
It's interesting. I think it is challenging for women in this business, and I've always felt that way. But I think, and I look at television now, and a lot of the characters and roles that are out there for women in TV are fantastic. I don't know if that's as true in film. That's a broad statement to make, and it's a generalization. But I think that when we look at even auditioning during pilot season or whatever, there's a lot of stories that are really female driven, and not in a stereotypical sense, and not in she's strong because she behaves like a man sense. I think that there is a lot of complexity, and I think that's really important. And I agree with you ladies, making our own projects and making sure that there are writers that are women and producers that are women, so that we can tell those stories in the way that is true to us, is really valuable.
And also, sorry, just to add to that too, is I think sometimes, we do have a lot of, there's a lot of female leads in a lot of different shows, but what we maybe need to start looking at is, for every one female lead, there's then 5 supporting men. And it would be nice to kind of start to even that side of things up a little bit too, so that you get the opportunity to work, and you get the opportunity to kind of learn and grow before you're kind of thrown into the deep end too.
Yeah.
Nikki, this is something I'd like you to weigh in on. Did you all see the movie 13? Y'all remember that? How do you feel about writing a screenplay with a strong female as the center, and do you think it would get made?
Well, I'd like to say I do, because it did. It's sort of connected to what we were just talking about. Maybe I'm naive, I don't know, maybe I've just been sheltered in a certain sense, but I grew up with so many strong women around me, and Catherine Hardwick, who's the director you're referring to, some of the best films I've made have been with her, and I've had such a great experience working with strong women, and a lot of the women that I've surrounded myself by, Rita Wilson, who writes for the Huffington Post and starred in countless films, and is now, writing and producing her album and singing, and Sherry Lansing, and just countless women around me. And so I was brought up with this idea of, if you want to do it, you can do it, and I don't feel limited. I don't feel that pressure being a young woman. Is that okay? Yeah. It's I guess overly optimistic and maybe straying farther from what's real, but it's just my mentality.
It's the right mentality, It's great.
Do you think biases still exist in Hollywood, that men won't come to see movies or watch television shows that have strong female leads? Do you think there's still studio execs who feel that way?
I'm sure there are, but there's that show on HBO, Girls, and she's not, it's so great. She's not, it's so great. I love Angelina Jolie, and she's amazing, and that role in Salt was written for a guy. So you see all those, you hear those stories, but then there's Girls. She's just such the not stereotypical lead, and she's wrote and produced it and starring in it. So it's definitely that if you create the opportunity, there may be you know, resistance in some areas, but there is to everything. There was resistance to the light bulb, you know. So I think the world just resists things. There's resistance to better environmental practices. There's just the status quo, but it can be with a good product.
Have you noticed how many older women are now reigning in television?
Yes.
I'm loving this. It's awesome to see those women kicking ass, you know, and they might be Sigourney Weaver who paved the way for all of us to be here. Her portrayal of Ripley was the be-all and end-all, and in a way still is. So I actually wrote a fan letter to her the other day. I wrote a pure fan letter, and anyway. Sarah, did you want to say something to that?
No, I just think it's awesome. I mean, but seriously, this is right. I think there's something to be said for the fact that the roles on television, especially for women right now, they're not roles for women who are, you know, 5'9", 21, and weigh 105 pounds. You know, they're roles for women. And
Glenn Close, another one.
Yeah, I feel like the role I'm playing right now is one of the most interesting and complex characters I have ever seen on television. And it deals with a woman who's a mother, and she's been married for a long time. There's, you know, there's a sense that you can explore the issues that real women, you know, face, not just, do I shave my legs, do I have accident, you know, like, because you're real women, and that's, I don't think it was always that way.
What is the deal in the life like for you on Walking Dead? Because the whole cast looks like they just have like truckloads of
shave your legs and you wax your legs. I mean, it's not about beauty. It's hot and it's sweaty and it's gross, and I think it's kind of liberating. You know, I go through hair and makeup, and it's not the hair and makeup department, it's the dirt and blood department. You know, they sweat you down, they throw sunscreen on you, they throw dirt on your face. It's wonderful. It's a great. The show is the enemy of vanity, and I think that's a really exciting thing.
I gotta ask you guys, what is the worst costume that you've ever been asked to wear? Let's start with you, Kristin, down there.
Oh my God. Okay. I've had request. I think that I'm doing Smallville for 8 years. I had skin tight. Kristin over there, I'm sure, wears a lot of really skin tight leather clothes, but a lot of skin tight leather clothes. Tiny, like, I think they wanted me in like the tiniest skirts and bustiers and all the, and like red. I was 15 years old, not me, but the character was 15 years old, and I wanted her in like red lace lingerie. That kind of stuff, like, you know. Is that me? I think so. If you're 18, playing 15. Okay. Yeah.
Nikki, how about you? Bustier, Nikki?
I don't know. I feel like all of the horrendous stuff I've been forced to shove my body into has been, you know, like a contributing factor. I don't know. I just feel like it's made the character what it is, so I try not to complain. And also, and not that that's what you're doing, but I also feel like because Twilight is still going around, in 5 years I'll have some really fun stories for you guys, but I really shouldn't do that yet. So ask me next year.
Anna, the cool thing about Fringe is that you're kind of de-hodified on that show. I mean, they don't play up the total chick that is Olivia. Has that been a refreshing thing for you?
Yeah, that was something that right from the very beginning, it's like, you know what, if the show's set so far out there, you know, it's science fiction, we always sort of, you know, you have to therefore make the characters as believable as you can within, you know, that kind of, you know, framework, and if she's an FBI agent, then she should be in flat bloodstones, a grey suit, and like a big, you know, we shoot in Vancouver, it's cold, I want a hat, a scarf, a woolen jumper, and that's kind of like, that's her nature, and they've always been really great about it too. There hasn't been, I think there was a little bit of, you know, oh, it'd be great if we could, you know, just sex her up, and I'm like, well, when we're looking at this dead body, or like, And look at the other one, and you're like, fair enough too. So that in itself is liberating. I mean, the worst thing that I have to put on is like the revolting, like flesh-colored wetsuit when they're in the tank. That's it. Like, really. But that is refreshing, and also, I don't know, I think that's happening more and more. You start to sort of see, it's interesting with HD too, like seeing real faces on TV and
Oh, you like that, do you?
it's interesting because I think what happens is that you get kind of like more used to seeing it, whereas when everything's all
The girl.
Because of the way you look, I mean, obviously, invariably, a male will probably come to you and say, we want you to wear less. Do you feel like you're in a position that you can push back and say no?
Yes, if it's gratuitous, of course you can. You just find a justifiable reason not to. But then sometimes it really works, and sometimes, there are times where there are characters that that it's liberating to wear something that you're not comfortable in, even in yourself. I think.
Yes? Kristin?
Well, it's just so funny being on True Blood because I'm the most dressed person. The men are never wearing clothing. And my clothing is so uncomfortable and painful, and I just love it so much. We probably jumped the shark last season on what Pam is wearing, and we have no idea where the line is. We keep imagining there's a line we're crossing, and then we put this hysterical outfit together, and then we go, I guess there is no line. It's like rubber and corset and bondage, and we're like, looks good. But, yeah, so it's just I don't know, I kind of look at naked people all day, and my feet always hurt, and I can barely breathe. I'm kind of having a blast. Such a funny job.
What about you, Lucy? You wore a lot of turtlenecks and long skirts and...
Yeah. I think the worst thing I ever had to wear was this real hair merkin that was like the size of somebody's beard. And I was like, can't you give me the Mr. Tumnus, Nah, put it on, don't complain. That's how it works in my country. It's gratuitous, Missy, and I just go put it on.
We're going to be taking your questions right away, so if you'd like to line up in the center aisle, we'll be glad to grab it. Lucy, I want to go back to, can you talk about the finale? What's been the reaction to the Spartacus finale? And I don't think it's a spoiler now at this point.
Hang on. The finale from last season?
Yes.
Oh. I don't know. I've been in the legal system for the last 8 months. I've missed everything. But I think it was a really spectacular way for my character to go out. If you don't know, my character did this terrible thing. She was sort of incubating a baby inside her